Welcome to Mystic Detectives Podcast, where we seek to unlock the wonders of the unknown. I'm Andrea Marziano.
And I'm Crystal Miller.
Good to see you again today. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Got some health information that I'm not in love with, which is actually very timely for our guest today, probably.
Huh. Interesting. Did you want to share that later, or did you want to talk about it now?
We can talk about your podcast first.
Okay. Well, a lot of times we do talk about podcasts we've been listening to. And given our topic of being mystic detectives, I've been listening to a podcast called The Paranormal Podcast. And, as we talk about things that are mystic at any level, they talk about more, so many people don't want to use the word ghost hunting, but many people can identify with that, is finding those paranormal things and not necessarily proving or disproving, but they use different devices like we do to find out whether there's some demonstrable evidence of paranormal activity. And so it's been kind of interesting. And they were just talking about one of the devices they use, identifying the sounds that ghosts can make that they record. And I am suddenly not remembering what it's called, EMF or something, I think. What's that called? Yeah. And I find that fascinating.
Or
because
EVP.
That's the one. EVP. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And if I remembered what it stood for, it'd be easier to remember the acronym. But there is some association with spirits or ghosts or things like that making actual sound that is sometimes out of the frequency and range that we can hear. Have you heard much about that, Crystal?
No, but I was watching something yesterday, I think it was. It was like, gosh, I don't even know why I was watching it, but it was like the first like EVP recordings or something like that. And it was really interesting because like you could clearly hear in some of the recordings that I'm making up what they actually said because I don't remember exactly, but you can hear them saying it's Howard or I'm cold and it's like, oh, it's so weird. It's like so weirdly clear. And so, I mean, there's something to be said, for like, it's one thing if somebody said, if you heard a noise like, nah, 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 and you're like, oh, he said it's Howard, but it's like clear. It's like, I'm Howard or whatever. Right. Mm-hmm. And so I think that the EVP stuff is really fascinating.
I do too. And what's interesting to me though, is sometimes I hear something and I'm like, I have no idea what this says. And then somebody said, well, what the professionals heard was the pickles are in the refrigerator. And then I hear it. But have you ever done that where you hear something and you're not sure what it is, but somebody says something and you're like, oh yeah, that totally is the pickles are in the refrigerator. Yeah. And oftentimes it doesn't mean much in the setting that we know or have. So it's interesting to me as I listen to these various things. Some of them feel more authentic to me than others. And I don't know if it's just my perspective or my bias on how it sounds. But anyway, sure. This podcast addresses some of that. And I've listened to some other things that have audio cues and some of the things that our staff has done for audio that it's just interesting to me. And I can't explain it necessarily. And I really believe in frequencies and how that affects us and how we hear things or we don't hear things. In fact, I saw a thing today that one of my friends posted that her dog was just getting hysterical all the time and they couldn't figure out why. So they took him to the doctor. He's a senior dog. And they thought really honestly, the dog was dying and it was having all these distress issues and stuff like that. But when it was away from the house, it was fine. And then it came back and it would do all kinds of things, including pacing and growling and things that didn't make sense. Well, they had just put some of those smart plugs in. And what they found out is the smart plug was emitting a frequency that the dog could hear, but the people couldn't. And it was agitating the dog. So they took the plugs out and the dog was fine. And so it's just interesting to me when we think about that and the sounds that are happening, some that we can hear and some that we can't, where we have a very small frequency that we can hear if the things I've seen and that was been tested. And then of course, as we get older and have hearing loss, for whatever reason we have hearing loss, it's just fascinating. So anyway, that took me down a whole tangent of thought, which I have not investigated at all. But of course, while I was supposed to be sleeping, I was thinking of that stuff last night. Anyway, just I thought that was interesting. So would you like to introduce our guest today, Crystal?
Um, I would like to let our guest introduce himself.
Okay, my name is Ederson Syvongsa. I thank you for inviting me, the Mystic Detective. What my background is, I'm a massage therapist, and with that, oh, in that license, I learned about the human body. With all the physical therapists in that level, I haven't got to that level, but I'm going to experience. But during my time with the human bodies, I learned a lot of people's motions and memories, and with muscles I learned to understand that people store a lot of memories in their muscles, a lot of
Mhm.
trauma memories, and with that, not only that, it has connection with their ancestral part of their self too. Some of them are with maybe their great grandmother or grandpa, but they have traumas passed down to their muscles that
Mhm.
they have no relation to. I don't know. Have you ever heard that in
Yeah.
any kind of stories
Mhm.
about that?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Generational
and
trauma.
absolutely. And I'm a licensed massage therapist myself. And so definitely I've experienced some of that. And Crystal and I are both nurses. I've been a nurse for 35 years. So I've seen a lot of this in many different levels. So I'm really interested in your take on it. And so that's pretty cool. How long have you been a massage therapist?
I've been to massage therapy for 8 years and a half right now,
I'm sorry, I
and
didn't quite understand that. How long?
it 8 years and a half.
Oh, eight. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and during my time with the massage therapist, I was picking like certain clients, but I met one client. Well, actually, two clients. They came up to me because somehow I was known for helping people with different kind of cases.
Hmm.
There's one case is like he had a L4-5 S1 damaged, and his doctor told me he wasn't able to like feel anymore. He's only go up to 80% of sensation. I'm like, all right. He trusted me, and he asked me some what kind of techniques I do. I mainly focus on sports injury or surgeries, and I did a little bit of fascia. But during the time, I didn't know what he was looking for, but he said, "I just heard you're really good. I would like to see if you can help me. I could take anything I want."
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
like, all right, my mind was, I'll see I could do. I'm not the expert, but during my process with him, I've been working with him for 3.5 years. I've been recording his sessions a little bit here, just can use my soap notes.
Hmm.
During my
Hmm.
time, I did many myofascial release, stretching, and cupping. But during the process, I was thinking in my head, like, what do you want? Like, what is it you want? I want to feel my feet. His condition is that during his before he had a injury or surgery, he something happened to his arm, his vertebrae burst out, and pinching his nerves so bad that his bladder was filling up, and his body was not filling the he needed to use the restroom. He'd only
Hmm.
have time to do it when it's overfilled.
Hmm.
And then he went to see a doctor one day. He said, "Hey, doctor, I'm not feeling really well." So doctors told him, like, "Oh, we'll do an X-ray, an MRI scan." And immediately the doctor said, "We need to take you to surgery because we need to take care of it because your bladder's 2 liters and you need to take care of it now." Like, okay. So this is the details he told me, and he had a surgery. After the surgery, he couldn't walk. He literally could not walk for a year. By maybe 6 or 7 physical therapists, he was able to walk, but not able to run or jump.
Hmm.
But his goal was to prove the doctor that I want my sensation back. So he find all type of methods and styles to find it, even fascia release. And he became one of the body worker, one of my teacher. But during the time, my teacher wasn't available, so he picked someone closer to my technique. And that was me. And he came up to me and talked to me, "Hey, I need some help with this. Like, I heard you're the closest one to him, his technique. Well, I do my fascia release, so I could do that." During the process, I I did all the steps I need, but at the same time, this is what I do with him. I kind of approach him a different way. I realized that I asked this question to him. I want you to think running. Want you to think moving your feet. Imagine that you used to walk. Like he used to walk. And during the process, he pushed his feet against me. And do you feel the pain? He said, yes, I can feel the pain. Yes. So the pain, his delayed. So there's an instant pain when you touch some item or like a heat, anything like a sharp pain, your body reacts really
Mhm.
fast. Obviously, that's how it works, the reaction. His delay time was 8 seconds.
Wow.
Oh,
Like, can you feel
wow.
this? Like, can you feel the shock? He's like, yeah, now I can feel it. Like, he can feel things moving his legs, but when I'm touching his toes, I had to squeeze really hard. He had 8 seconds delay. Like,
Wow.
okay, we'll work on this. So what happened is I wasn't a physical therapist, like I said. Say, all right, let's just do this. I'll work on your feet. Let's open up the central nervous system, like the lumbar, like work on the muscle, relax it. I did all the technique. Now, as a massage therapist, we hear stories a lot about our techniques, having the body, the mind and body connection. And there's
Mhm.
plenty of people with mind and soul, body and soul. But my focus is body and mind. And
Mhm.
my methods, my thoughts were I haven't met anybody yet, but I kind of maybe discover it, but have someone find someone who's similar to me. I will love to talk to them. I found out that the body and the mind has a unique connection together. They have a way of communicating. The body and the mind allows to tell the body, to the mind, say, "Hi, I'm hurt." The mind say, "Okay, well, let's deal with it." If the mind say, "I got something important," we'll do that later. So that the muscle will store trauma later on. Will later eventually will build up and say, "Hey, dude, I'm at the point of pain. Fix me now."
Mhm.
Because there's nothing beyond my level. We can't move, we can't function. And the mind say, all right, fine. That's when we realized that I found out that if the mind and body was more healthy and if they're able to heal each other, then the soul, our human soul or our energy will come in and realize, oh, you guys are whole. All right, I don't have to fix you guys. I don't have to work on you. You're
Mhm.
completely good. Now let's find our higher self. I realized that's like a lot of miracle things happen to people. And here's the question: have you ever experienced those kind of people who actually have their mind and their body fully health and they have a great connection with their inner divine self?
Well, I know I've experienced people who have had that intermittently, and I probably could say for myself, it has been more on the intermittent basis than the full time basis. Um, but I'd love to hear more about. Well, and first, before I say that, Crystal, do you have any comment?
Well, I was just going to say, I actually studied under Gay and Katie Hendricks at the Hendricks Institute, specifically in body mind vibrance.
Mhm.
And so, I had a lot of experience with people who, kind of like, your body will never lie to you, And I've had more than one occasion where I've been getting a massage and, one muscle gets focused and then suddenly I'm like bawling, right?
Yeah.
No thoughts are necessarily happening, but that muscle is releasing whatever that trauma is, and um and I'm better for it, So
Yeah,
Mhm.
I agree. And also, I have seen that with doing massage and Reiki. I'd say what I heard the question was, do I see someone who's basically, to me, what I heard was in alignment kind of all the time? I haven't seen
Mhm.
that. But one of the things I feel like, at least for me, the way I look at it is through our lives, we ebb and flow. And sometimes, at least from what I've seen and experienced myself, it's like, okay, I'm really on right now. And then another time, like, well, okay, I know something's out of alignment. And honestly, sometimes it's a matter of whether I'm ready to address it or not.
right.
And it's interesting because I feel like sometimes we're in resistance, that it's no, I feel like I'd like to act like a 3-year-old today. Thank you very much. And how that reflects. And so what I'm wondering is, could you explain what you were talking about, technique and things like that? Can you explain what you mean by a technique? I mean, you talked about visualization. Is there a little more clarity you can give on how that looks for
Okay.
you when a client comes?
Yes. That's a good question. What the technique I did is I worked on the client. I massaged the client. I did fascia release, and
Mhm,
then a little bit of cuffing, and then I do stretching with them. After
mhm,
that, I was done. Like the body's relaxed, no tension. Now I
mhm,
told my client, all right, let's just do this. Let's act like you're walking. But let's do lunges.
mm,
Let's bend those lovely calves. Let's actually push those. Act like you're running, you're a marathon person. And he just, okay, I hold him, I literally hold him, I watch
Mhm.
his muscle form. And like I said, I'm not PT, but a physical therapist, but I seen enough to the point where like I go in for a little bit deeper, like, okay, let's go down, let's move down. And then he start to feel the burn, he start to feel the pain, he start to
mhm,
feel that. And I've been doing it for a year and a half. Now I did the big test. All right, let's test this out. His delay became 8 seconds, now became 2 seconds.
Wow.
wow, that's huge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes. And he's like, Ederson, I've been seeing you for almost 2 years. You've been doing more than what I seen a doctor done for me. I am so happy.
Mhm,
And I want to run. Okay, you want to run, but you're afraid to fall. All right. I asked him, let's do some jump ropes first. Go home, do 10 jump ropes. And he go in. He's about him, it's so different about other clients is that he met two type of clients. There are one clients who he always mention, hey, stretch, relax, work out. But when you see that client, it doesn't do it again. Like it's always the same, not the same spot. You're like,
mhm.
"Hey, if you do this, we don't have to solve it. We can go further if you're willing to do your half."
Sure. Have you ever had someone where you say, "Hey, have you been doing your stretching? Can you show me what you've been doing?" They're like, "Well, I can't really remember."
Yes, yes,
And so
exactly.
so we all know they haven't been doing it, because someone who says they do every day but can't quite remember what it is they do every day, it's like, all
Mm-hmm.
right. And maybe those are the clients, at least when I see it in my practice, they're the ones who want me to fix them versus to assist themselves to recovery.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And then there's one of those other clients that like, I did this. Great. Let's go further. And you get to the point where like you can't give them more assignments because they're doing all the assignments. They're just coming in and maintaining the next level. I feel that every time we're massage therapists, we're holding space for them, but we never like they never want to go move on to the next level of the space.
Hmm.
Mhm,
It's just harder. But this one special client, he made my like spark. Every time I see him, I'm like, all right, let's do the next homework. Let's do this.
mhm,
This next homework is I took him to my gym. And okay, if you want to run, we're gonna go to the pool. And I want you to just book it. Book in that pool and run. It's a 3 foot water pool, and he just ran. He ran and like, how's that feel? Because I told him like make sure he doesn't hit anything. He's like, it
sure.
feels great. All right, that's just a warm up. We're gonna do his backward walking. So we want to stretch those muscle out. Like backwards, yeah. Don't worry, I'll watch your back. You won't hit any object behind you. Just remember, I show the movements of the foot. What should be moving his bend his calf kind of uphill so he can like push it on his heel backwards. His foot is flat foot, so he has no curve, no cave, anything, no arch. So he's
Mhm,
just flat foot, and I don't want him to have arch. Let's make him so he can walk pastward. He did it, and he looked at me after 6 laps. He did two more extra after six. Like I want to do two more. He said like I haven't felt this for 5 years. I want to thank you for that. And now I ask him, what is your sensation now? Since 80% when you met me, what is it now? He says, to be honest, I feel like it's 88%.
mhm. That's great.
88%. I'm still working on it. And then
Mhm,
I always remind him, like, all right, if you keep doing your homework, you are actually gonna get closer to your body.
Hmm.
So with him, I discovered something unique that made me every therapist have, and Crystal, you probably have seen your school explain this to. If the mind is willing to help the body, and the body is willing to just go further with it, the connection of that body and mind will be like phenomenal. The healing process will begins. But if the mind is distracted or entertained, is not really like only do bare minimum, the body won't be able to heal fast enough, and it feels like it's not working. That's why I feel that our body has unique ways to heal our inner wounds just as much as our inner soul, our self in trauma. So I feel that if our body and our mind was really healthy, I can imagine of our divine self comes in as equal, like you will become the highest version of yourself, the most, I could say, ideal person that you wish you always want, and become reality. Your reality becomes real. Your physical form is your reality.
Mhm.
And if your mind say, I want to be this, but your body's not going to it because your physical body's not moving to that level, it's not showing that you don't want to be it. You can imagine, dream about it. But if you want your dream to become reality, you got to move your body to that reality.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I may be in like peak of it, but if there's a school that teach more than I do, great, teach me there. But as far as I know, I haven't met any mentor or any certain professors who have a strong feel in this kind of area yet. And I'm wrong or not.
Mhm.
So my
So do
question
you?
to you, what?
Oh no, go ahead. What?
I was gonna ask you like, have you, as I know you're a massage therapist in the past, have you ever felt that you one of your clients you work with and you actually follow through had great results? I mean, have you
Oh,
all of you?
absolutely. Yeah, I've specialized in injury recovery. And it's like you said, there are some clients that are just really ready to do the status quo. And if they have an issue, they come to me and they say, fix me. And I work on them, and I give them home play also to work on different techniques or stretching or um, strengthening exercises. And what I find the most exciting is when they are actually, like you say, connected to their recovery, where they know that they can push a little bit more, they can do a little bit more. And I find that especially when they're honest about where they are and where they want to be, it makes a huge difference, because when they really connect with that and they really want to push through, that makes a big difference. And so it's interesting that you found some of these people your clients willing to push a little further forward too. And then there's people, and like I said earlier, some of us, I think probably most of us, will go, okay, that's good enough for the moment. And sometimes, sometimes it is. Sometimes we've reached where we want to be for the moment, and that's okay. I think there's times that I was reading something that one of my friends posted on Facebook, and she looks at fall and winter being her recovery time, her inward looking time, and things like that. And I think it's important for us to have those moments too, that maybe we're not at full capacity, but right now it's our rest time. And so to find that balance is really interesting. So as a massage therapist myself, like we've talked about, there's times that I know it's time to push my client, and other times where letting them rest really serves them the best. And just to know their client. And one of the things too, and maybe this is something that comes up for you, is using intuition too on where to put, or however you call it, intuition, spirit, whatever it is in your verbiage, to know where that line is. Do you use something that you rely on? If that question made sense to you.
Yeah, I do. I actually use their vision.
Mm-hmm.
Like I use their past. So for example, I say, imagine when you used to walk. Imagine when you used to run with no pain. How does it feel?
Mm-hmm.
And I give them that. Imagine yourself future from now, where you want to walk, where do you want to have? And then they compare it together. And right now, what's holding you back? Nothing, really. It just yourself. You're thinking about this, but your body needs to feel like I can walk again. If you keep saying I can't walk, it's gonna happen. It's the word of power between yourself and your vibration. The word saying I'm not this, I'm not that. It will happen if you manifest it too much. And your vision in the future would just shift. That's what happens.
Right.
I believe that with our body, with our mind, with the ability to heal, it's strong. It's all about ourselves. If there's some people might push a little nudge them a little bit, we love to be around those people. But if the kind of people say, "Oh, you can't do it," "Oh, that's your far," like his doctor told him, like his doctor says, "This is as far as you can go." He's like, "Nope, I don't believe that. There's more than this. There's more than that." So,
Yeah.
well, I hope that answered that question. Is that correct?
Yeah, no, I get that. And one of the things too that I feel is really important is to remind a person that they are not their injury, they are not their illness, they are not their disease. So saying something along the lines of people I've met who said, "Well, I am a cancer survivor." And that is true in some degree. And sometimes I feel like that gives themselves a label instead of saying I had a cancer experience, or I had a experience with a back injury, or I had an experience like this, because then it's a separate event. It's not who I am. It's something that I experienced. And I don't know if you find that in your practice, where sometimes when people come in knowing it's an experience in a moment in time versus this is who I am, that can make a huge difference, at least what I've noticed in recovery.
Yes, I have a couple clients who came in and actually accept who they are. And I actually, "Is that what you want to be?" And like, "I can't think of anything else." And then I get, "Oh, okay, I'll do my best." And then I usually don't see them anymore because I try to help them out. Being a body worker, being a massage therapist, and being in the area of a person who wants to help people to heal better and show mind, it's you're not for everybody. Like, I mean, I learned that I don't have the technique to train them. There's some people I'm able to train, and then some people like I can't get through your head, and I'm not your therapist. But I want to help. I'll find someone who can be that person for you. Just talk to me, or talk to yourself more positively. But I met some people who were like really athletes, or who are like, "I'm this person, I'm a great person," and he won his first game. He's a baseball player. He's like never played before his league, and then I'm like, "You're gonna do great. Let me just help you out, get a notch all those round boys, and help you get those pecs so you can do that extra swing you always wanted to do." And he won his first game, and he was like very happy about that. When people come in for a body work, they have a hard time connecting with their body. They do understand them a little bit, but it doesn't speak the same language verbally. It just speaks three types of things: pain, numb, and tickle. Well, laughter. I get a laughter to say. But that's how the body will act. But when we go in, we mention our hands, we say, "Hey, I think you're a little tight here. You need more like stretch, or I need more to calm down, or watch this out so you could be careful." So the people can realize, oh, because sometimes when you say, "I noticed this area, this muscle. Have you been doing this a lot, or what you've been doing to yourself?" And they'll definitely speak out. Most people, "Oh, I've been carrying my kid on my right arm too much, and I've been doing a lot of clean work on my right arm." Like, well, maybe you should switch the other side of your arm so you don't hurt yourself.
Right.
Yeah. Well, my funniest thing is when I'm working on someone and I find a tight spot and I'm working there, like they ask, "Can you feel that?" I'm like, "Well, that's why I'm here." But yes. So Crystal, as a perspective from someone who's not a body worker, but has experienced body work, where does it come? What's your perspective? Having had body work, have you had experiences that you'd like to share?
No.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, you had said earlier that that you had one time been in a bodywork session and you started to cry.
Yeah.
And you said you didn't have any particular thoughts, but what did you think about it later? Or did you process it later at all?
I just know that I felt better. I didn't know, I never really consciously processed it. As
Mhm.
far as, figuring it, pinpointing what trauma it was or anything like that. But I just know that, I felt better than just a massage would make me feel, right? I had clearly been holding on to something. And for whatever reason, in that moment, I decided to let it go and was able to let the emotions that were tied to it flow as well.
Mhm.
And so um, I think that that's, a testament to it's like the book Feelings Buried Alive Never Die, right?
Mhm.
And I think it's just a testament to how much our body can hold on to if we allow it to.
Yeah. Well, I know that when I was in school, one of the things they did tell us about is that people will have those releases. They'll say, they told us that it could, sort of what you were talking about, Ederson, is they could manifest in different ways. They could start to cry. They could start to laugh hysterically. They could start to pass gas like crazy. And it's so funny because when I've had clients, and so what they told us to do is just hold the space, let them know that these are totally expected and anticipated results, and just support them, because some people will get super embarrassed. They're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I tried to hold it, and it's like, please don't, because you're blocking your recovery, you're blocking your release. I'll just step aside. But of course, I've never said, yeah, that's right. I've never said, of course, I'd step aside. I just you relax and you do you. And and so it's interesting because they told us in school that those are the things that you'll watch for. It's nothing you have to do to stop a session. You can just support them however that looks. Some people like to talk about stuff, some people don't, and that's fine. But just to know that they're safe in whatever it is they're doing and releasing. And so, but it's interesting because it's true. They people do respond that way. Some people fall asleep completely. And I had one patient or a client who said, she was on the table for about 3.5 seconds and she started snoring. And
Wow.
afterwards, she said, oh, I might have fallen asleep. I'm like, well, a little bit. And and it's one of those moments that to me actually is a good thing, because I knew her well enough to know that she had been very tightly wound. She was very stressed about a lot of things. And so I knew she was in a safe space. And that is one of the most important things to me. And I do a lot in my spaces to make them safe. I cleanse them, I dedicate them, and things like that. Ederson, do you have anything that you do for your space or your particular clients to give them that safe feeling?
Music. I put music, I put elements of sound, where something about local Irish voices that put people to a trance. And most of the time, my clients don't know it, but then they go to an astral feeling, an
Mm-hmm.
astral level, when they're like really in the beta 5 stage, where their mind just falls sleeping deep. They forgot, where am I? Oh, you ever have that part when you ever in a massage, you just pass out and you just like wake up like, I'm on a table facing down. What am I doing? Oh wait, I'm just getting a massage. I thought, oh, it's just unique because your body, you put yourself out of that state of mind where your body just as a whole, it heals itself. It feels so good. Crystal, I understand you probably like had a massage. Have you have the feeling that after the massage, do you feel more refreshed and mind clear and
Always,
more always
always.
connected to your
Yeah,
body?
yeah,
Uh,
always.
do you this is a good question. Here's the main question is, when you after the massage, do you feel like you could tackle any object of situation for yourself?
I would say I feel a lot more like that. Um, but not necessarily like the Incredible Hulk has just hulked out, right? But yeah, I definitely feel more confident. I definitely feel refreshed. I feel to be honest, I feel more important to the world, I guess, is a way of putting it. And like I can have more of an impact on the world. And to me, that it's kind of funny to say that about massage for me, just because it's like it's just a massage, but really nothing is just anything, right? Like
That's
Well,
interesting. And I was thinking, Crystal, we've known each other for a bazillion years. I don't think I've ever given you a massage, have I?
one in
One?
Linden. Yep, in Linden.
What kind of friend am I? I don't even know. I
don't
couldn't
worry, I have
remember.
friends always ask me for massage. Right
Oh,
now, you
I
just
know.
text me today. Like, can you give me like, I'm on a podcast right
Right, right. Or we'll be at dinner or something. Somebody will walk up and say, "Could you just just
now.
here?"
Yes.
Like,
That's
Oh.
like my uncle, the chiropractor. Every time I would see him, I'd be like, "So, park bench over here? Well,
right, right. One time, it'd just be nice for someone to say, "Hey, could I give you a massage?" Yes, that'd be
Oh,
great.
you know
It'd
what?
be great.
I will love my hand. It's just a hand massage, and I'll just thumb and push it there.
There you go. There you go. Well, this is awesome. And so it's interesting too, hearing Crystal's story too, isn't it, Ederson? Where it's like, okay, so we know we make a difference. And sometimes it's nice to hear outside sources too, saying that's true. And that's kind of fun. This summer, I had a massage space on a creek that's here on the property we live on.
Yeah.
And it was one of the most magical things for me and for them, because for me, I was outside and I got to watch the creek, and there were ducks coming up and looking and seeing what was going on. For a while, we had a bullfrog that was just croaking, croaking, croaking. And
Oh,
you were talking about the voices and sounds. It's that repetitive sound that brings a person into deeper and deeper relaxation, whether it is a bullfrog or whether it's monks chanting or whatever. And so we talk a lot at different times through these podcasts about, like, say, frequency and how it can make such a difference. And so are there other ways that you set up your space? We've talked about sound and things like that. Do you ever use any other tools like bells or drums or bowls or anything like that?
oils.
Or oils,
like
crystals?
sound bowls, crystals.
Mhm.
I actually use sound bowls.
Mhm.
I use sound bowls for their like methods too, but I do a little bit different than sound bowls. I actually sound bowls and I put it on top of the clients, and I just make the sound bowl as a more vibration in
Mhm.
their heart. I can't massage the heart muscles of the heart muscles. Sorry, the heart has muscles, but the vibration of the sound bowl going through, penetrating not only the heart, but the lungs itself. It's like less invasive to our hands, but great feeling to the body. I asked my client, breathe in, breathe out. And breathe into your nose, exhale your mouth. And we're going to start out slow. We're going to start off the small one. We're going to start off the big one. Now work our way up. With the bowl, it has chakras, but I always put in the heart because I want the heart, the lungs to feel the vibration of each bowl has, and it just brings the next level because something about that, like most that we can't touch as body work, but have another tool that touch it for us.
Mhm.
It's moving to the heart. It's like carrying a baby and rocking them left and right. It feels so right and so purpose. And then when they leave, they feel like they have purpose in their self,
Mhm.
more deeper connection. I use that technique. I am still thinking about using like fork tools, but that's another level. I haven't touched
Yeah.
yet. But yeah, that's the tool I use, and I use light. I use very small blue dim light. Something about blue, it calms the mind, calms the like. It has deep blue is almost like deep blue oceans. And I always tell people, you're in the ocean, you're in deep, and that's when you learn a lot. That's when you feel like that's how you're a seed. I always tell people you're a seed inside a damp, dark area. That's when you start to grow.
Mm.
You're a better person when you're in somewhere very compact.
Mhm.
And it's a lot. It's a lot of things I did with that part.
Mhm.
Anything else.
Well, and a lot of people associate blue with the throat chakra, And I don't know what you find, but for me, with my clients, and probably through some of the work you've done too, Crystal, is the throat chakra is one of the most congested chakras around. And for whatever reason, whether people are holding things or they feel like they just can't speak their voice wherever they are in their situations. So it's interesting to me that you use the blue because it tends to be a calming color. And I sometimes will look at that as the chakra relationship too. So that's interesting.
Yes, thank you. I do want to tell you one thing is that during discovery as bodywork and everything else, I realized that being um, a part of a healing process before people became go to major surgeries and same issues is an honor to help people with that before they start to having like I feel bad with some people's that already had surgery and I didn't get them in time. It's like, but the people who before they get surgery, and what I meant before surgery is like, if their body is always hurting, and if they don't like maintain the upkeep of their body, eventually with that one muscle that they feel like they're not doing so well, they probably will drop something or hit their toe or accidentally like feel fatigue and just stumble on the stairs. And your body has a great recovery, but not taking care, ignoring it, it's hard. But being a body worker, I'm honored to help those people. I'm honored to help them to become a better version of themselves. Just that sometimes people got to believe that they got to take the necessary steps to do their homework.
Yeah, yeah.
That's it. I don't know. This is a great conversation. I know this is my first podcast, but this is really good to talk to both of you, especially non-body work and actually body work. Andrea, I'm gonna ask you one question I didn't ask. And how many years experience have you been being a massage therapist?
I started in 2007. So how many
2007?
years is that? Yeah, a
16.
lot.
16.
So that's more than my years. You're in the double years. But you're still practicing it, right?
I am
Yeah.
indeed. And I use a lot of different modalities. There might be good to mention too that I have a lot more years behind me in my actual lifetime than you do anyway. So there is something to that as well. But it's been fascinating. And as I've been a nurse for 35 years, putting those two things together, especially that's one of the reasons that I have dedicated most of my time to injury recovery. And it's funny because people will say, what types of massage do I do? And I use a lot of modalities, some of the things you've talked about as well. And some people will come in for what I call a foo-foo la-la massage. And that's
Oh,
great. If that's what they want, I will absolutely do it. However, it takes every ounce of self-control I have not to do trigger point therapy and say, oh, there's something there, I'm going to get it there. And most people don't want just foo-foo la-la, but some people do. And it's interesting when I feel like I have to hold back and go, oh, really, I could do more. And, but most people do come to me specifically for injury recovery because they know that's what I do. And I like to be able to provide them the assistance that I know is available for them. So that's fun when they actually do want to really recover. And I had a client when I was living in Utah who would come to me whenever he hurt himself. And I said, listen, if we actually worked consistently together, you wouldn't be in this place. And he would literally come knock on my door. Can you fix me? I'm like, oh, yes. And you can fix yourself, but hey, thanks for contributing to my bank account. And but it's interesting as we've talked about the different perspectives that different people have. And as I've gone through the years using my different modalities, there are some things I do with people every time, and some things that I'll add on and using my intuition or guide to apply things, you know, whether it's a hot stone or whether it is the tuning fork or the drums or the bowls or additional things with Reiki or mentoring or, you know, just putting all the things together, because I think so many people look at our body as one bit. And my business card says mind, body, and spirit, because that's how I believe it all works together. And so when people really lean in and really want to put all those pieces together, that's when the recovery really happens. And one thing that just comes to my mind is when I am working with people and all those things are connected, it heals me too. Do you find that, Ederson? Have you found that when you're really on it, I guess, it
Yeah.
affects you as well?
Yeah, it does help me realize was my purpose and allow me to share it to people. The best part about it is that when they feel that they are happy, like they're like, I feel good, I can feel myself. It even surprised me. Some people are crying in a moment. And like, all right, I'll get some box of tissues. And there's a moment I ran out of box of tissue. I'm sorry, I'll get a paper towel. Will that work?
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I feel good with that because I feel rejuvenated, and it takes me like a good 15 minutes to like soak down in a moment and realize that I'm happy what I'm doing, even though it's one person at a time. I wish I could do more in a moment of a short amount of time, but it's nice to focus one person at a time because it helps you, but not only protects yourself from them, but you understand how they could protect themselves too by telling them, hey, you need to watch out for yourself doing this. It really is a selfless serving lifestyle I ever had in my life.
That's
And for you?
so awesome. Well, it's really awesome to know, and I would even invite you to consider that when you are teaching that one person at a time, they go back out into the world and they'll teach other people what they're learning. And not only that, as they have recovered or are feeling more positive and more like Crystal was saying, that they could take more on, they're rippling that out to other people. So I would submit to you that you're not just affecting one person at a time, you're affecting multiple people. You're doing that healing that may be assisting them with generational healing that expands even further than any of us could ever imagine. So
yeah,
the
you're
gift,
just doing it through one person at a time.
right. And so I feel like the gifts that you're sharing are definitely not just affecting one person at a time. It's a ripple that carries on.
Oh, thank you.
I agree.
I appreciate that. The same thing goes to you. I seem like you are with this podcast. You're sharing people's a lot of perspective, and I'm very happy you both are doing this podcast.
Thank you.
And so I know we are too. Yeah.
And then the thing I heard you about saying about ghosts is everything. I say, with energy like that, we exist. It's like it's nice to heal ourselves and understand that. I'm so sad for the other ghosts that never have a massage before, but if you get a massage, I'm not. This sucks, but it's the saddest thing. But I feel that the world can need some like de-stress, and then how our world is right now, there's a lot of people need to decompress with the situations going on today's society and today's mindset. I feel that I try my best to help the world, even if it's just one people at a time. With the spread you said, one person will spread another person, being good to them.
Yeah.
Well, and also I don't know if you've noticed this in your practice, but I have in my practice where sometimes when I'm working on someone, I am literally the only person in their life touching them.
Oh.
And that's shocking to me sometimes because I look at my life and the people I'm with, and I'm a hugger, and people know that, and it's just interesting to watch. But then there's some people. I had one woman coming to me and I said, I am happy to assist you. She was coming every week. And I said, you're doing great and you're doing your stretches and exercises and stuff. Do you want to bring it a little less frequently? Because it's not inexpensive to get massages.
Yeah.
And she said no, because she said, you are literally the only person touching me in my life right now. And she said, I need that every week. And I said, I totally understood that. And I said, do you want to approach it differently? I mean, for heaven's sakes, do you want to just come for a hug once in a while? But she also liked the healing that came along with it. And I certainly wasn't trying to talk her out of getting my services, but I was talking to her about some other possibilities. And she was going through a really rough patch and a divorce and things like that, and didn't have any children. And so it was kind of her lifeline in some ways. And I look at that and how other people are in situations where they want touch. Take it, for example, seniors who may not be touched by anyone for days, weeks, things like that. And I feel like that's a big thing that's missing in our society for people who want to be touched. I mean, there are people who don't.
Right.
But for people who want it and really psychologically need it, it's also, I think, the massage and healing touch, whatever it looks like, is an integral part of our global recovery, which sounds super, wow, we can globally change, but we really can globally change the world, whether it's in a physical touch or a spiritual, emotional touch. And you were talking about how this podcast can educate people and things like that. And we've talked to people who are providing clearing, energetic clearing and things like that for people. And so it's just, to me, interesting how all of this will connect in and assist with the recovery. So
Yes, I agree with that. Well, thank you for sharing that. I feel like I'm not the only one to think about the world's going to be like tough about helping people, but I understand that we, as body worker, we have some special bill. Not, I would say not special. Oh, we do have special ability. Let's phrase that. We do have special ability to help people understand they do exist, they do matter, they do have the ability to go through whatever they're going through. Um, they're just, we're there for them, but we're not there fully there. We're there just to help them complete their story, their journey, and not only that, discover more memories. They have options with their ability to heal. They have more options to bring more memories in their brain, their body, and their mind, so they can have a better ways to overcome any obstacles, mentally, physically, or spiritually. That's why that's why I'm hearing from your words. It reminds me about how we forget who we are, and massage reminds us who we are.
yeah, I agree. And I think that's beautiful.
I do too.
Did you have any other stories or anything you'd like to share with us in our last few minutes of time, Ederson?
I can only tell you my next client is he had 5 strokes, and I'm gonna work with him. He's been hospitalized for like 3 months, and he's paralyzed. He's like almost have Bell palsy. He can't move. He can move now, but he has muscle atrophy on the right side. Anytime he moves the muscle, it hurts. So I'm working on him right now with that. That's like a challenge to you. But if we talk again, I'll give you more
I would
updates.
love to do a follow-up. Yeah, that sounds amazing.
Yeah,
That'd be great.
I'll do what's sad about this one client I didn't do is I didn't do a video before and after video. It's sad. But the next one I want to do a before and after videos. But the good thing about the current client I was working with, he has a record from his doctor. He's gonna go check the doctor to see where he has his movements, and I'll bring the result under his approval and consent to show it to you guys.
Awesome.
And the next one I'm talking about, the second client, the potential one who has the 5 strokes and poverty. I want to see where he's at. I want to know what he's going through. But I'll tell you the full story on our next visit. But
Awesome.
I'm gonna do the same method, same style that I did the first one to this person. And see what happens from there. I'm gonna see.
Yeah. Cool.
That's great. And one of the things that is great to document that improvement is when a person is improving, and especially if they're doing it a little at a time, sometimes they forget where they started and they don't see the vast changes. And it's nice to be able to reflect back to them and say, remember when you couldn't do this, or remember when whatever. And those little changes can become quite traumatic. So that logging and registration of what's been happening is really important. And you've got it in your SOAP notes. And if you can do those videos and things like that, it's great for them to actually see it too. Because a client reading SOAP notes may go, oh, okay. What?
I do know this.
Way.
I'm gonna tell you this. During massage, you probably had the same experience. Massage therapists in the world, we don't have enough records to prove that massage does impact lives. Most 80% of my therapists I have, don't really focus on their soap notes and just like massage and go. But if we can prove if every massage therapist or body worker that can keep track of their records, like science proving science or fact
Mhm.
doctors that body work is a key element of prevention, injuries, medical, mentals in the world, it will be part of society. Because right now,
Mhm.
our society, the massage is taboo of certain other things, but it's getting there. We're getting there. It might help faster if we have records improving. The oldest records we got, okay, you probably already know, is two type of massage I discovered. Is Thai massage is 4,000 years old in Thailand, and cupping
Mhm.
from Egypt, from Cleopatra, has a stone. If you can see it, has a glyph of her having cupping, her body clean, and next is her have red, black spots. It's like what? Back then,
Yeah.
even Caesar himself, Julius Caesar had massage, and he got proven that he got some of his injuries and or symptoms got cured. It's amazing. If we
Yeah.
can prove that massage is one part of life society, I believe be less chance in the world become less conflict with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And that's called evidence-based research. So we've got the evidence to prove it. And that's very important. I appreciate that. Yeah, so that's excellent. Are you doing any kind of further or continuing education that you're going to bring into your practice at the time? Or are you just focusing on the things that you've been doing so far?
I'm focusing on things doing right now. Near future next year, I'm gonna focus on Lomi Lomi massage
Hmm.
and see how
Hmm.
that works. I just want to see if it is a good practice or not. I love discovered massages of other types, see what they can be great for my practice. But most of the times, I've been using pretty much like the tissue structural recovery. I have a little bit of touch for health, but mostly trigger points there. But
Hmm.
then I use cupping and stretching. Something about that. Some people who don't stretch enough. I mean, we don't. I'm like, I try my best. It's hard to find someone to stretch what I do. It's like, I don't want to be lazy stretching myself. But I noticed that we need to stretch more because they release any energy blockage. And when then we just feel cranky if we don't stretch. We feel very limited and we feel like we're like raisins.
Right, right. Exactly. I like it. We feel cranky. Yes, we do. It's awesome. Well, I really appreciate this. It's been fascinating talking to you. And if any of our listeners have any questions or any information that to share, or stories related to massager bodywork, please send us your questions or comments at mysticdetectives@gmail.com. Send us your stories or questions, and we invite you to stay curious
And keep exploring.